Have you ever wondered why, despite all your efforts, the law of attraction doesn't seem to work for you? You may read the books, say the affirmations, visualize your dreams, but somehow nothing changes. Why is that? Why do we seem stuck in the same old patterns, unable to break free and manifest the life we desire? The truth is, there are certain words and phrases we use every day that block the law of attraction and stop our manifestations in their tracks. These words are deadly to our dreams because they reflect a mindset of lack, limitation, and disbelief. And until we master the art of observation and become conscious of our thoughts and language, we will continue to experience the same unwanted circumstances in our lives. Let me share a story with you. There was a researcher who wanted to understand how focused attention and observation can change the brain. He reached out to the Dalai Lama and asked for his best monks. These monks had spent over 40,000 hours meditating, focusing on thoughts of compassion, divinity, and unconditional love. They were experts in paying attention. The researcher hooked the monks up to EEG machines, which measure the brain's electromagnetic activity. He asked them to be their normal selves, then to focus on compassion. The results were astounding. The frontal lobes of their brains lit up like a Christmas tree, showing an intense level of activity that the scientists had never seen before. These monks had trained their minds to such a degree that their brains responded immediately and powerfully to their focused attention. The control group, made up of average people, struggled to focus. Their minds wandered to thoughts of discomfort, boredom, and daily concerns. Their brain scans showed little to no activity in the frontal lobes. This experiment demonstrated that focused attention and observation are skills that can be developed with practice. Our brains are incredible instruments of intelligence, processing 400 billion bits of information every second. However, we are only aware of about 2,000 of those bits, which are related to our body, environment, and time. Our self-awareness is often limited to thoughts about our physical comfort, our surroundings, and the passage of time. But when we can shift our consciousness away from these concerns, we open the door to the quantum field, where infinite possibilities exist. Now let's talk about those deadly words that block the law of attraction. Words like I can't, I don't have, I'm not, I don't know, and it's too hard. These phrases are rooted in a belief system that reinforces our limitations. When we say, I can't, we are telling the universe that we are incapable of achieving our desires. When we say, I don't have, we are affirming our lack and pushing abundance away. When we say, I'm not, we are identifying with a false sense of self that is unworthy and powerless. When we say, I don't know, we are closing ourselves off to the wisdom and guidance of the universe. And when we say it's too hard, we are giving up before we've even started. These words create a state of mind that is incompatible with the law of attraction. They keep us stuck in the same old patterns of thinking and feeling, which produce the same old results in our lives. To change our reality, we must change our language. We must become conscious of the words we use and the beliefs they reflect. Consider the word can't. This word might seem small, but it holds a lot of power over us. When we say, I can't, we are telling ourselves that we are not capable of doing something. We are admitting defeat before even trying. It's like putting a roadblock in front of ourselves. Can't stops us from moving forward and keeps us stuck in our current circumstances. It makes us feel powerless and hopeless. But what if we replaced I can't with I can? This simple change in language can make a huge difference. When we say I can, we are telling ourselves that we are capable of achieving our goals. We are opening up a world of possibilities. I can is empowering. It gives us the strength and confidence to take action. It makes us believe in ourselves and our abilities. For example, imagine you want to learn a new skill, like playing the guitar. If you say, I can't play the guitar, you are already giving up. You are telling yourself that it is not possible for you to learn. But if you say, I can play the guitar, you are opening yourself up to the possibility of learning. You are giving yourself a chance to succeed. This shift in language can motivate you to take the first step, like signing up for guitar lessons or practicing daily. When we say, I can, we are also taking responsibility for our lives. We are no longer blaming our circumstances or other people for our failures. Instead, we are taking control and making a choice to pursue our dreams. This sense of responsibility is powerful because it puts us in the driver's seat of our life. It makes us realize that we have the power to change our circumstances and create the life we want. Another benefit of saying I can is that it helps us to stay positive. I can't is a negative statement. It focuses on our limitations and what we are unable to do. This negative mindset can make us feel discouraged and defeated. But I can is a positive statement. It focuses on our potential and what we are capable of achieving. This positive mindset can make us feel motivated and inspired. It gives us the energy to keep going even when things get tough. Similarly, when we say I don't have, we are focusing on lack. But when we say I have, we are affirming abundance. Even if we don't yet see the physical evidence of our desires, we can still align our thoughts and words with the reality we wish to create. By speaking and thinking as if we already have what we want, we attract it into our experience. The same goes for I'm not. When we say I'm not, we are identifying with our limitations. But when we say I am, we are claiming our true power and potential. The phrase I am is incredibly powerful because it is a declaration of our identity. When we say I am successful, I am abundant, I am healthy, we are aligning ourselves with the energy of those qualities. When we say I don't know, we are shutting ourselves off from the infinite intelligence of the universe. But when we say I know, we are opening ourselves up to divine guidance and wisdom. Even if we don't have all the answers, we can trust that the universe will provide us with the information and resources we need at the right time. And finally, when we say it's too hard, we are creating resistance. We are making our goals seem insurmountable and setting ourselves up for failure. But when we say it's easy, we are removing the obstacles in our mind. We are allowing ourselves to flow with the natural rhythm of the universe and achieve our desires with grace and ease. Changing our language is not just about positive thinking. It's about becoming conscious of our thoughts and words and choosing to align them with the reality we want to create. It's about training our minds to focus on what we want rather than what we don't want. It's about observing our inner dialogue and making a conscious effort to shift it in a positive direction. Remember the monks I mentioned earlier? They spent years practicing focused attention and observation. They trained their minds to such a degree that their brains responded powerfully to their thoughts. We can do the same. We can train our minds to focus on the positive and align our thoughts and words with our desires. But it takes practice. Just like any other skill, it requires consistent effort and dedication. We must become mindful of our thoughts and words and make a conscious effort to change them. We must observe our inner dialogue and catch ourselves when we use those deadly words that block the law of attraction. One powerful way to do this is through meditation. When we meditate, we quiet our minds and create a space for observation and awareness. We can observe our thoughts without judgment and gently guide them in a positive direction. We can practice focused attention and train our minds to align with our desires. Another powerful tool is affirmation. By repeating positive affirmations, we reprogram our subconscious mind and align our thoughts with our desires. We can use affirmations to replace those deadly words with empowering ones. For example, instead of saying I can't, we can say I can. Instead of saying I don't have, we can say I have. Instead of saying I'm not, we can say I am. Instead of saying I don't know, we can say I know. Instead of saying it's too hard, we can say it's easy. Visualization is another powerful tool that can help us achieve our goals. When we use visualization, we imagine our desires as if they have already happened. We create a clear mental picture of the reality we want. This mental image becomes a guide for our subconscious mind, helping us focus on our goals. Think of visualization as creating a blueprint for your future. Just like an architect draws a plan before building a house, we create a mental plan for our desires. This plan shows our subconscious mind what we want, making it easier to achieve our goals. Our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So when we visualize our goals, our subconscious mind believes it is already happening and starts working towards making it a reality. When we visualize, we align our thoughts and emotions with what we want to create. For example, if you want to be successful in your career, you can visualize yourself achieving success. See yourself in your dream job, doing well, and feeling happy and accomplished. Feel the emotions you would feel if you had already achieved your goal. This positive feeling helps to attract more of the same into your life. Visualization also helps us stay focused on our goals. When we have a clear image of what we want, we are more likely to take actions that move us towards our goals. We become more aware of opportunities that can help us achieve our desires. Our thoughts and actions start to align with our vision, making it easier for us to reach our goals. Another benefit of visualization is that it helps to boost our confidence. When we see ourselves achieving our goals in our mind, we start to believe that it is possible. This belief gives us the confidence to take the necessary steps to achieve our desires. It helps us to overcome doubts and fears that may be holding us back. To practice visualization, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to relax. Then imagine your desired outcome as if it has already happened. Make the image as clear and detailed as possible. See yourself in the situation. Feel the emotions, and believe that it is real. Spend a few minutes each day visualizing your goals, and soon you will start to see positive changes in your life. Gratitude is a powerful practice that can greatly influence our lives. When we take the time to focus on what we are grateful for, we are shifting our attention away from what we lack and towards what we have. This shift in focus is very important because it helps us create a positive energy. Positive energy attracts more of what we want into our lives. Think about it like this. When we constantly think about what we don't have, we are stuck in a mindset of lack. This negative mindset can actually block us from receiving the things we desire. It's like putting up a wall that prevents good things from coming our way. However, when we focus on gratitude, we are tearing down that wall and allowing abundance to flow into our lives. Gratitude changes our perspective. Instead of feeling frustrated about what we don't have, we feel thankful for what we do have. This feeling of thankfulness creates a positive energy that can bring more good things into our lives. It's like a magnet that attracts more of what we are thankful for. For example, if you want more financial abundance, start by being grateful for the money you already have. Even if it's just a little, express gratitude for it. Say to yourself, I am grateful for the money I have now. I am thankful for all the ways it supports me. By doing this, you are shifting your focus from lack to abundance, and you are creating positive energy that attracts more financial abundance into your life. Another powerful aspect of gratitude is expressing it for our desires as if they are already fulfilled. This means being thankful for the things we want, even before we have them. For instance, if you desire a new job, you can say, I am grateful for my wonderful new job that brings me joy and fulfillment. When we do this, we are aligning ourselves with the energy of abundance. We are acting as if we already have what we want, and this accelerates the manifestation process. This practice is very powerful because it helps us to believe that our desires are possible. When we express gratitude for something that we want, we are telling our mind that it is already on its way to us. This positive belief helps to make our desires a reality. Gratitude also helps to reduce negative emotions like jealousy and envy. When we are grateful for what we have, we are less likely to feel jealous of others. Instead of focusing on what others have that we don't, we focus on our own blessings. This helps to create a sense of inner peace and contentment. It's important to remember that change doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and consistent effort to reprogram our minds and change our language. But with dedication and practice, we can train our minds to focus on the positive and align our thoughts and words with our desires. As a result of this wake-up call, this is a perfect opportunity for people to be in a retreat, but instead of being in some tent or some hut in the Himalayas or being, in some hotel, you're in the comfort of your own home. And it's true, you break from routine and you're not going to the same place and seeing the same people and doing the same thing. And that causes you to step outside of familiar territory. So then when we practice the inward work, when we practice meditation as an example, and you have the ability to take a moment and be present and truly open your heart, our research shows that you are going to actually create a state of information that's no longer coming from your outer world, that there's danger in there. But when you start falling into the present moment and opening your heart, your immune system in 4 days can strengthen by 50%. Now, I know most people will say, I don't really want to do it now. It's just too hard. No. This is the time. This is the time that we've been practicing for. This is the time where it matters the most. These are the tools that we've learned. So what information then is your body receiving? Is it receiving danger in the outer world or in a meditation? It could feel safe enough that it can move into the present moment. Going from the old self to the new self is the neurological, is the biological, is the chemical, the hormonal genetic death of the old self. People who say to me, I'm in the river of change, I'm in the unknown, I'm in this void, I can't predict my future, I always say the same thing to them. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Not from the known, but from the unknown. What thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? You can't wait for your wealth to feel abundance. You can't wait for your success to feel empowered. You can't wait for the mystical moment to feel awe. You can't wait for your new relationship to feel love or your new job to feel gratitude. It's the old model of reality, of cause and effect, waiting for something outside of you to change how you feel inside of you. When you feel differently inside of you, you pay attention to whoever or whatever caused that. And that event, in and of itself, is called a memory, to wait for our environment to give us relief. The quantum model of reality is about causing and effect, which means when you feel whole, you begin to heal. When you feel empowered, you're going to be successful. When you're worthy enough, you'll feel abundant. When you are in love with life and in love with yourself, you will find an equal, or it will find you. And when you are in awe of the moment, the mystical is going to bless you in a way that you never anticipated. And when you are in a state of gratitude, your job is on the way. It's causing an effect. And by the way, what is the emotional signature of gratitude? Don't you give thanks when you get something or you receive something? So then, what if you were to begin to give thanks or feel thanks before it manifested? Would your body, as the unconscious mind, believe it's in the future experience in the present moment? Because gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. And so we don't pray in our work to have our prayers answered. We get up as if our prayers are already answered. It is that state of mind and body that I know that requires a clear intention and an elevated emotion. And the clear intention is an act of the mind and the brain. And an elevated emotion is when you open your heart. When you combine those two elements, you just moved from living in your past to living in your future. So then, here's the question. Can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the experience has already occurred? Can you fall in love with a future potential that already exists in the quantum field? And how many potentials exist in the quantum field? infinite potentials in the quantum field? Can you select a new potential in the quantum field and emotionally embrace that future reality before it's made manifest to such degree that your body, as the unconscious mind, is believing it's living in that future reality in the present moment, and you're signaling new genes and new ways? If there's physical evidence in your brain and body to look like the experience has already happened, there's evidence there physically. By thought alone, relax. Because the experience is going to find you. There's an intelligence that's giving you life right now. It's keeping your heart beating and digesting your food and organizing trillions of functions in every single cell of your body. It's organizing mutations in your DNA. There's some invisible force that's giving you life, but that same intelligence that's keeping your heart beating and digesting your food is the same intelligence that's creating supernovas in distant galaxies and causing flowers to bloom. It's both personal and universal. It's within you, and it's all around you, and you can't see it, and you can't smell it, and you can't taste it, and you can't feel it, but it is the giver of life, and it is a consciousness. And consciousness is awareness, and awareness is paying attention, and it is the observer observing you into life. And you know, when I tell our advanced students, either you're going to be defined by a vision of the future or the memories of the past. And then people say, why are you so bitter? Why are you so frustrated? Why are you suffering so much? And your brain, in that emotion, you're in the emotion, which means you're in the chemical residue of the past, is going to call up the event because you're emotionally connected to it, and you're going to say, I'm this way because of that past experience. So then, imagine what I do with people. We have people that have been abused. We have people that have been traumatized, that have been assaulted. We have people that have had very, very difficult pasts. And have you ever heard me say to revisit the event? Have you ever heard me say that? Never do we need to revisit the event, because once you do, you open the box. But what we want to do is overcome the emotion, because that's just what's lasting from the event. So you sit a person down, and the moment you sit them down, what do you think the body is going to do? It's going to look for something to recreate that emotion, because that's the person's identity. Are you with me still? So if I inspire the person to sit there, and they're sitting there, and all of a sudden they're noticing that they're hot and they're irritated and their stomach is twisting, and all of a sudden it's a group of sensations, a group of feelings that they have called all along frustration. But the different sensations, the moment you name it, it becomes an emotion. But what it is just bodily sensations. It's energy that's stuck in the body. So the body is looking to go back to the past. It's believing it's in the past. Are you with me still? So if the person becomes aware that their body is doing that, and like training an animal, allow the body to feel that emotion and then settle it down into the present moment. When you settle it down into the present moment, the body starts to trust the present moment and move out of the past. And there's a release of energy. Then the body goes, wait a second, what's going to happen in the next moment? And it starts doing that. And it starts to try anticipate the future. And you settle the body back down into the present moment. And every time you do that, you're telling the body it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind. And your will is getting greater than the program. And all of a sudden, you start to lower the volume to that emotion. And when you begin to break the addiction to that emotion, the side effect of breaking that addiction is called joy. It's called freedom. All of a sudden, the body's saying, I don't want to be tormented anymore. Now, does that mean you shouldn't grieve over things that you lose? Grieving is a biological process. It's neural pruning. It's a death of circuitry. It's a death of emotions. It's the absence of void of something in your life. And that's important. In grief, sooner or later, you've got to come to a greater understanding about death, a greater understanding about loss, a greater understanding so that you can adapt to those conditions. Every time I sit with someone and they start complaining about their life, and I let them go for a few minutes, and then I go, oh. You know what I say to them? You only complain about your life when it's not working. And the emotion that you're feeling right now is keeping you connected to the past. You never do this when your life is working. And so I don't have a problem with moving through the stages of emotions. But I also know that what a person really wants, more than anything else, is to be free. People want to be free, and I have witnessed transformation on every culture, on every skin color, every shape, every size, every age. I've witnessed it. If there's physical evidence in your brain and body to look like the event has already occurred, your brain and body are no longer living in the past, they're living in the future, and you will walk right into your vision, something new you wanted to experience. And the moment you started thinking about this experience, the moment you started contemplating this potential reality, you turned on a part of your brain called the frontal lobe, the crowning achievement of the human being. It's 40% of your entire brain. It is the creative center, and it has connections to all other parts of the brain. And the moment you said, what would it be like to be a leader? What would it be like to be successful? What would it be like to have this vision come true? The moment you asked that open-ended question, you turned on this part of the brain, because the rest of the brain is just a bunch of automatic programs. And now the frontal lobe, the creative center, wakes up, and it has connections to the entire brain. It's the CEO, it's the boss, it's the symphony leader of the brain. And the moment you get creative, the frontal lobe begins to select different networks of neurons that are stored in your brain from things you've learned or experienced. And as you begin to think a what-if question, it begins to select these different networks and begins to seamlessly piece them together and making your brain fire in new sequences and in new patterns and new combinations. And whenever you make your brain work differently, you're changing your mind, because mind is the brain in action. Mind is the brain at work. And the moment those neurons fire in tandem, you get a picture in your mind, a hologram, a vision. For those people who are passionate, that thought that they're thinking begins to create an elevated emotion. They become inspired. They feel enthusiastic. They become passionate. They started to open their hearts. And all of a sudden, they're combining a clear intention with an elevated emotion. And it's the combination of a clear intention and an elevated emotion in our research over and over again that proves then the person now is changing fundamentally, changing biologically, changing internally, and their brain and body are moving from living in the past into living in the future. When you do that, when you had that moment, you came out of your resting state, and then you started to write down all the things you were going to do to get to that vision, all the choices you were going to make, all of the experiences or goals you wanted to achieve, and all of the emotions and the joy you would feel. And when you were doing that, you were setting your sights towards that destiny. And then you did something really brilliant. You wrote down the choices you weren't going to make. You became aware of the behaviors you weren't going to demonstrate. You began to review certain experiences you wanted to stay away from. And then you looked at the emotions that would bring you to a lower level, and you began to separate the old self from the new self. And when you begin to do that and you're observing the old self, it means you're no longer the program. Now you're the consciousness observing the program. And that's when you begin to objectify your subjective self. And so the moment you stop making the same choices that you always make, get ready, because it's going to be uncomfortable. And that's the moment you're heading towards the new self. Do you think that you can change the circuits in your brain by thinking about it? So I did this experiment a little ways back. It took these people who never played the piano before, and they separated them into 4 categories, and they said, listen, we're going to scan your brains before you learn this exercise, and then we're going to scan your brain after, and all you have to do is show up for 2 hours a day in practice for 2 weeks. Okay? And just follow the instructions, and we're going to hook your brain up to these sophisticated scans, and we're going to see what happens before and after. So they got with these people, and they said, okay, first group, here's the scales and here's the chords. They're one-handed exercises. Practice them over and over again. Keep playing them. So they played every single day, 2 hours a day for 2 weeks. They scanned their brains before, they scanned their brains after. After 2 weeks, guess what happened? Whole new set of circuits lit up in their brain that never lit up before. That makes sense. You learned something new. Learning is making new connections. Repeating it over and over again is sustaining or maintaining those connections, and that's called memory. So they memorized what they were doing by physically practicing or personalizing what they learned. Make sense? Yes. Standard. Simple. It took the second group of people and they said, listen, we want you to play 2 hours a day for 2 weeks. We're going to scan your brain before and after. You know what we're going to do? We're not going to tell you how to play anything. You just come and do whatever you want. Play whatever you want. So at the end of 2 weeks, guess what happened to them? Nothing. You know why? Because they couldn't remember what they had learned the day before. And they couldn't remember what they played the day before, and they had no structure. They got no instruction and no knowledge to be able to apply it to make some steady circuits. It took the third group of people and they said, listen, don't even show up. Don't even create your day. Same thing, nothing happens. The last group of people, they said, listen, we want you to come 2 hours a day for 2 weeks. We're going to show you these one-handed exercises, but instead of you physically playing the piano, we want you to mentally rehearse over and over again those exercises. We know you're going to get tired, so we'll nudge you and we'll keep you awake. But you practice for 2 hours a day and you keep repeating those. The end of 2 weeks, they re-scanned their brain, and guess what happened? Same area of the brain lit up as if they were actually playing the scales.